when you ask, does God exist? In the question itself, you have clearly said that God is inferior to existence because God is dependent on existence.
Okay.
Namaste. My name is Bidhan. 2012 is when I chanced upon Upanishads, and it had a profound impact on my life. Since then, I have dreamt to bring the key aspects of Upanishads in a manner which is simple, relatable, and implementable in our daily lives. So here we are with a set of videos to make spirituality simple. When we ask a simple question, does God exist? And before we answer, let me ask you, what do you mean by to exist? See, we fight over God, we defend God, we reject God. But till the time we don't understand what is existence, everything is very superficial. So today we are not discussing about God, we are discussing about existence. And let me tell you, as you understand existence deeply, the way you look at God will completely change. So stay with us, remain uncomfortable with this question. And if you find value in what we are doing, please subscribe and share. It'll be of great help. So, Preeti, when I asked you this question, what is existence? What was your beautiful answer?
I remember this question. I said something that exists, obviously.
Of course.
But to be more serious, I think existence, something that exists, I think is something that can be seen, something that can be, is visible, something, perhaps something that I can perceive with my sense organs, with my sense of sight and touch and sense of sound. So
So something that
probably this is existence. Yeah.
something that appears with the
Yeah.
help of your sense organs. So even your thoughts, your emotions, which is not perceived via sense organs, also exists.
Yeah. So things that are tangible and intangible, I think. Yeah.
So all of them exist. So this table exists.
Yes.
What do you mean? What exists in the table?
I mean, the table exists, the wood, the shape of the table, the utility of the table.
Okay. If the wood is burnt, does table exist?
If the wood is, uh, no,
No. If we break the table and make into a chair, does the table exist?
no.
So when the table is no longer there, does it mean the existence is also not there?
I mean, the table doesn't exist anymore, right?
The table does not exist.
Yeah.
So is existence and table one and the same thing, and or table and existence are two different things? Please be very clear.
Think in every conversation, you come up with this something that makes no sense in my brain. I thought you were going to make things simple. I thought you're going to make spirituality simple, and you're just making it very complicated.
I am giving an answer to a very simple question that you ask: does God exist?
A simple answer for a simple question, really.
And I'm just trying to understand that when you say the table exists and the table does not exist, so is table and existence one and the same thing, or they are two different things? That's my simple question to you.
In your head, it may sound simple, but trust me, nothing about that statement is simple to me.
Okay, so let's go ahead further with it.
Let's break it down.
We'll break it down. Okay, so when you look at a bubble, a
Okay.
wave, or a froth, whenever you go to a beach, you see all of it, right? There are three forms.
Right?
Are those three existences for you, or there are just three forms for you?
No, there are three different forms
Forms of what?
of water.
Right?
Yeah.
So the water appears as wave,
Right?
the water appears as bubbles, and the water appears as
Froth.
froth.
Got it.
So is there any difference between the water and the wave?
No.
Fundamentally, is
The form is different.
form is different.
Right.
So can water be separated from the wave?
No.
It can't be separated from the wave, right? So what you're saying is that there is only water
Hmm.
on which a form is superimposed.
Right.
And when the form gets superimposed, the wave gets created.
Hmm.
A different form gets superimposed, the bubble gets created. A different form gets superimposed, the froth is created.
Got it.
So fundamentally, there is only one thing, which is
Water.
water, on which there are various forms
Hmm.
which is getting superimposed.
I get what you're saying with, especially with the table analogy and also the water and the waves, right? And it all sounds also very poetic, if I can say it. But what about the world? How does this apply to that?
You feel it is poetic
Yeah.
because your intellect is not very comfortable with the idea so far. Anyway, let's look at this entire world.
Hmm.
Forget about water analogy and the table analogy, and it's been used so many number of times. Let's look at the world. Now, when you look at physics, it
Hmm.
clearly says that what appears as matter to you, is not fundamentally matter. It is a probability wave, not the water wave, the probability wave. And the wave collapses
Hmm.
for it to appear as a particle,
Right.
right? And nobody has seen an electron, right? I mean, even today, it's not something which is very concrete, the way it has been taught to us when we were young, correct? So the entire world that is looking very concrete, at the very base, it is not concrete. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That even this world, even this table, the chair which appears concrete, at the very base, it is not concrete. It is a vibration, it is a probability wave.
Hmm.
And that's the point I'm trying to make it to you, that something that appears in a certain name and a form, that appearance is just a manifestation of something which is far more fundamental.
So this fundamental that you're talking about, just like you're saying that um, the wave and the bubble are just names and forms and appearance of something more fundamental, which is the
Correct.
water.
Right.
And even if we talk about the quantum physics example you gave, for a particle, something that is fundamental is the wave, correct?
Right.
So you're saying that existence is the fundamental upon which different names and forms are appearing and disappearing.
Absolutely. That's the point I'm trying to say. There's something called existence in which various names and forms are appearing and disappearing, but existence is always there.
But let's look at it logically. Like I don't say something has appeared in my existence and disappeared in my from my existence. I say this is a table.
The table exists.
The table exists or the table doesn't exist. That's what I say, right?
This is a good point. When you say table exists and when you say table doesn't exist, so somewhere you feel the existence of table is coming and going.
Yeah.
And existence and table is one and the same thing.
Yes.
This is what
Yeah.
generally what we talk about. This is important for us to clarify right now. It's going to get interesting. Okay. When you say there is a table
Hmm.
and there is no table,
Right.
you can say that
Yeah.
there is a table and there is no table.
Correct.
What is common between these two?
I don't know. I mean, I can't even begin to guess what you're going to say for this.
Okay. There is a table,
There is a table.
there is no table.
There is no table.
So the common between these two is. The word is. That word is, that isness is so important because that even isness talks about the existence. So on that isness, the table, the name and form, the table is getting manifested. So there is existence on which the table gets manifested. And when you say there is no table, which means there is only isness, there is only existence, while the name and the form has been removed. The words itself are made that way. So isness or the ness, N-E-E-S, sorry, N-E-S-S, right? That is existence. When you say there is nothing,
Yeah.
there is nothing. You are talking about nothing as if there is something.
Something. That, yeah, okay.
There is an existence on which nothingness is getting projected. Where there is, so because you are able to even point towards nothingness because nothingness is existing.
Wow. So if I see some like an empty box and I just say there is nothing, you're saying that I'm still pointing to
The
the
presence
presence.
of nothing. So nothing is
Right.
existing, you know. So that is the problem, because in our day-to-day words, when we use the words, we assume appearance as existence. Please understand, appearance and existence are two different things.
So somewhere we're confusing. I think in the previous conversation also we were confusing mind with awareness. State of mind with awareness.
State of awareness.
So you're saying here also we use the word interchangeably.
And that is where the confusion happens. See, the appearance and disappearance, both of them are present on existence.
So for us, existence means presence. Like if there is an object, if there's a pen on the table, I would probably say there is a pen.
Yes.
But you're saying that we are confusing presence of the pen
As
as
existence.
existence.
Exactly. There is existence. And when you say there is no pen, you're still pointing towards existence of no pen.
Right.
Do you see this? So existence does not come and go. The appearances comes and go. There is existence everywhere.
Right.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? This is subtle. But if you really understand this idea of existence and how the names and forms are getting superimposed on it, there's something much more profound that will come out. But I understand the confusion happens because we are all used to
the language. I think the words that we use, correct?
That is one. And the second is what we see is the name and form, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't get to see the
existence.
Is that the
or
problem?
The fundamental.
Or the fundamental.
Right. So existence itself is like the fabric on which all appears and disappears, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds all very out there, like very abstract, I feel.
But did you see this? That there has to be something more fundamental in which, where even if you're saying nothing is there, there is an isness. Something is there. That isness is there everywhere. And it is going to sound abstract. Let us do a thought experiment.
Yes.
It will help. Suppose there's a child who has never gone to a theater, a movie theater, right? And he goes after the movie has started. And when the movie has started, he's just seeing a movie which is projected on the screen. And the movie has a lot of violence. The child is getting scared and saying, Dad, I want to run from here because people are killing each other. I don't know what's happening. I'm getting very, very scared. And the dad says, No. That's just a movie which is getting projected on the screen. The child will say, Where is the screen?
Yeah, you don't get to see the screen, obviously.
He doesn't get to see the screen. The dad will say, No, that's just a movie. That's the name and a form. Behind that, there is a screen. That is not real. But how do you make a child see a screen? The child cannot see the screen. And this is the problem, that we don't get to see the existence
upon which the name and the form are getting manifested or projected.
And therefore we are mostly in tune with the names and forms while the existence gets missed. Existence has to be understood, and this is what Vedanta does. It takes our attention to things which is so there but still absent in our day-to-day experiences.
Wow. I mean, like I said, it sounds abstract, but yes, taking the example of the screen, I think makes a lot of sense, because you don't get to see the screen.
Yes.
But you only identify with that name and form that you see that is projected on the screen.
Which is the movie. Right? So that's how it works. So are you getting it? What existence is?
Yes. Yeah, kind of getting it.
You're kind of getting it? Okay. So let me then ask you a few questions.
No, we've not flipped it like that, Vedant. I'm the one who asks questions here.
Let me see whether the understanding of existence exists.
A good one. I see
No.
what you did there.
Okay. So no, it will be an easy one. So when I say that there is, as you said, there's a fabric.
Hmm.
So there's a fabric which you call existence, in which all the names and forms are getting projected, and you just get to see the names and forms, not the very existence. And the reason you say there's a fabric or there is an existence, because you also say there is nothing and there is something. So isness is all there, right? So does this existence dependent or independent? Is this existence dependent or independent?
When you ask like that, I think the same example of the movie theater which you just gave.
Hmm.
So if I don't say that the screen is dependent on the movie, right?
Right.
It's the other way around. I think the movie is dependent on the screen.
Oh, perfect. That's a nice way to. This is called cheating.
Have I answered the question
You have
correctly?
answered the question correctly. So if you look at it, this entire cosmos, this entire world, this entire thing that you see, including the thoughts that you have, the beliefs that you have, the body and mind, all of these are names and forms,
Hmm.
right? All of these are names and forms which are superimposed on existence,
Right.
right? So existence, even if the names and forms goes, even if pralaya happens where everything, the existence will always be there. The existence never goes.
Right.
The only this is the same example of water and waves. Even if the waves, there are no waves in the water,
Water still
the water
exists.
is still exists. So the existence is independent,
Hmm.
while names and forms are dependent.
Dependent. Got it.
Now, second question: is existence changeless or does it change?
I think taking the water, everything I relate to with the tangible things that you've given me. Okay, so if I take the water example, I think the water is changeless. What changes is the different forms and the different names that it takes on, like the wave or the bubble or the froth, right?
Right.
So existence is changeless.
It's always changeless. I mean,
Yeah.
if you take the movie example also, the
Hmm.
screen is changeless.
Right.
What changes is what is getting appearance, whatever is being appeared on the screen, isn't
Got
it?
it. Yeah.
So you've seen that the appearance, oh sorry, what you have seen is that existence
Hmm.
is
Independent.
It is
Changeless.
okay. Now, does existence independent or dependent of time?
Bidan, I get that I'm answering questions and all, but that doesn't mean you have to ask me like out of syllabus questions. What does that mean?
Okay, I'll give you a clue here. Does time exist or it doesn't?
Okay, so time itself depends on existence, right?
Yeah, because time exists.
Right.
It
And time is also relative, it's variable for different people. Like time is different for you and for me.
so time appears in
Existence.
existence, right? Now we say that existence is, we have seen that existence is changeless. We have seen it is independent. It is beyond time.
Hmm.
Now, does existence requires faith?
What?
You're having a doubt.
Yeah, faith. Where does this come in? Okay, no.
So faith comes when there is a doubt.
Right?
And doubt comes only when you exist.
Doubt comes only when there is existence.
Both the doubt and clarity
Hmm.
appears and disappears in existence.
Within existence.
Are you
Got
seeing
it.
this?
Yeah.
So, what is most fundamental?
Existence.
In existence, everything just appears and disappears. Right? Now, when you say something which is changeless, something which is independent, something which is beyond time, something which is self revealing, what do you call that?
Wow. This we just saw in the previous conversation. Satyam.
This is Satyam, this is truth.
Truth. Yeah.
Right? Now, let me ask you some uncomfortable questions. So, this table depends upon existence or existence depends upon table?
The table depends upon existence.
Existence, right?
Now I
Correct?
can answer that.
So table appears in the existence.
Yeah.
Whether it is table, whether it is the wood. Before wood, it was a tree. Before tree, it was a seed.
Right.
So all of them, there are names and forms. Seed becomes a tree becomes the wood becomes the table gets broken, becomes a chair. So all of them are names and forms,
Got it.
which is appearing and disappearing in existence. So all of them are dependent on existence. Now replace the table with God. Now, when you say there is a supernatural God separate from us, existing somewhere else, so does God depend upon existence or existence depends upon God?
If that is the case, then somewhere God becomes dependent on
Existence. You see what I'm saying?
which again means that we have placed existence, God at a lower stratum than
Existence
existence.
itself. And it cannot happen.
Yeah.
So, for all you know, we are taking, when you ask, does God exist? In the question itself, you have clearly said that God is inferior to existence because God is dependent on existence.
Okay. So then, even the simple question that I'm asked with started with, does God exist?
Yeah.
Somewhere, I think that itself separates God from existence,
Yes.
which means we are just giving a name and form. So, does that mean that God is a name and form that we are giving within existence? Or, like you said in the first episode, I think you mentioned one line which said, maybe you will figure out that God itself is existence. I don't know, I'm just connecting so many dots here, Bidan. Is that what it means?
So, if you give a name and a form to God, that name and form is always subservient to existence. And when you look at existence, existence is truth, existence is satyam. But again, the point will happen is in the last episode,
We said that awareness is Satyam.
we also said that awareness is something which is independent, it is changeless, it is prior, it is more self-revealing, it is fundamental.
Yeah.
So it calls satyam. And now we are also seeing existence, which is changeless, independent. It is also prior, right? The clay is always prior to the pot, and it is self-revealing. So even this is satyam. So can there be two truths, or is it one truth, or there is a truth which we are seeing from two different perspectives? And probably when you go peel it further, you will discover God. Is in the entire process you will do that.
I mean, is it two truths or is it one truth that we are seeing from two different angles?
Yes. And that's going to be an interesting part as we go further into this inquiry of does God exist. Now you're seeing that that question itself, does God exist, is fundamentally flawed because you are making God subservient to existence. You're also reducing God to an object that needs to be certified by the ego. So this question itself is flawed. And therefore, understanding this question itself is flawed. And slowly, when we move to the very idea of what is awareness, what is existence, what is truth, you start slowly revealing and understanding what is God.
Wow. I mean, just that whole question of like, does God exist, like you said? And somewhere with today's conversation, understanding that if I ask, does God exist itself, I am putting God at a lower level than existence itself. I mean, there's so much to think about. And the reason why I've been quiet also during the conversation is because I'm thinking a lot about the conversation. So, lot to digest, definitely. And I look forward to seeing where this inquiry takes us further because I think I'm curious and at the same time excited and maybe scared also to see where, because it only asks more questions. I feel when I go back and then when I come to talk to you for the next conversation, it just brings up many more questions.
In fact, that's how we have to learn. It's about self-inquiry. It's not about what I tell you.
Hmm.
And to our viewers, this is what we do in our sessions, the live sessions that we conduct on Upanishads, where we try and use the ancient wisdom and understand how we can use that in our day-to-day lives so that our lives becomes a lot more meaningful and a lot more clearer. One thing I can assure is there's a lot of clarity that comes as we move deeper into these questions. You will see that there is no belief, there is no faith, but there is direct inquiry. Inquiry in terms of who am I and the nature of the world and probably the nature of the God. And this inquiry actually reveals far more truths that would rather, which is much more personal to each one of us. So if you're interested to be a part of these sessions, please go ahead and put your name and number, which is there in the description below. So Preeti, it is good conversation that we have today, and intuitively you will understand that there are no two truths. There is only one truth, and we will in the next session try and put everything together: existence,
Awareness.
awareness, and God, and see what exactly do we mean by God.
Right. I mean, I think more than anything else, I have stopped after the last few conversations, stopped looking at God as a supernatural entity who's one separate from us, who's there to be the protector. And I think that whole question, that line that you said of people say when you're searching for God, look within. I think I would like to reach that point as well.
Perfect. That will be nice if you're going in that direction. And if you all uh, like the interactions and if you enjoy the conversations, please consider sharing with a lot more number of people. Please consider uh, subscribing it, and go ahead and put your comments. I reach in each and every comment very carefully, and I try to respond as many possible. So till the time we meet next, let there be grace in our learning. Namaste.